what he's getting. Is he getting robbed? Is he getting played? Is he getting disrespected? I mean, this is just, and this goes to show, I don't know, this goes to show kind of what we touched on last time. At the end of the day, this is the entertainment business. And if at the end of the day, if things don't make sense, and all that means, all makes sense means makes money. If the fight can't make money, if I can't sell it, it's just, a situation like this really shows that you need to be able to, you need to have some marketability. Cause we starting to see how important that is with title shots. How does a guy like Yavoya, if he comes off I think he hasn't lost, he's undefeated overall. He hasn't lost in the UFC. He just beat a former champion in Aljo. He's been fighting in the rank for a while now. I think he's number 4. He's number 4. There's nobody else in who's a rightful contender. It's just what else do you point to besides the fact that he's not a star, besides the fact that people don't really know him, besides the fact that he doesn't have a finish.
I think it's one of those things where I think sometimes in the UFC you gotta. I think it's fair though, because even though he's undefeated, even though he hasn't lost in the UFC, man, listen, especially with somebody with Volk, I know we just did this whole thing with John Jones. Man, do we really want to waste one of Volk's last fights on somebody that's just going to try and take him to the ground and hold him? And to an extent, I think in some divisions that's fair, and in some divisions it's not. And I think in this division, there's no really other way to say it. You didn't deserve that shit, bro. If there was somebody else in this division that was undefeated or had some type of steam and momentum in which it was Diego and he just lost, Movsar is that person. There's nobody else here that's screaming number 1 contender no matter what. And Diego just got his first win in how many years, 2? And it was just somebody that was unranked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And then, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I noticed something you said, do we really want to waste? As we know, Volk is in his last stages. We want to make his last appearances special. But, who in the division, outside of maybe if Jean Silva can get a big win, but outside of that, and even Jean Silva, who in the division?
There's nobody.
Yeah. Who in the division? Yeah.
I'm on the UFC rankings page right now, and this is a whole, probably another conversation that we can make as a whole topic about things that the UFC is overall needs to improve on as a whole. But I'm looking at the featherweight rankings right now, and this is the official UFC site. If we do it, I might edit this and put it on the page. This is their rankings, okay? Number 1, Max Holloway. Number 2, Diego Lopez. Number 3, Ilia Topuria. I don't know. So your top 3, they're not even in the ballpark. 2 of them isn't even in the division no more, and 1 of them just lost. It says number 4. We have 2 number 4s. They really did this shit to make sure we get the title shot. Number 4, Yair. Number 4, Movsar.
And that, yeah, as much
let's
as I love
that. Not to cut you off, but let's scratch that. Let's keep going. Because we're talking about this whole division. Who else could possibly deserve a shot outside of Movsar? Number 6, Arnold Allen. Number 7, Brian Ortega.
He's a lightweight now, I think.
Number 8, Lerone Murphy. I guess you could make an argument for him, but if the conversation is about fun fighters, I'm sorry to break it to you, Lerone is not bringing that. Aljamain Sterling. Josh Emmett. And then we're at number 11, Jean Silva.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just...
Who else? You literally it's not one of the divisions where it's there was a conversation with Umar, maybe Sean. I don't even think that was a real conversation, but it's something, a debate. Something could be said on both sides. There's nothing to say about Yair getting this over him. There's nothing to say about, I can't make a case for Ortega, Arnold Allen, Sterling. I can't make a case for anybody. We're throwing Jean Silva into the conversation. This division is so dry at this point, on top of the fact that Ilya buried it, but I gotta get my Ilya Glaze in here somewhere. Outside of that, we're so desperate in this division that we're saying the true number 2 person that should get the title shot next is the 11th rank. That's how dry this division is, and I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know if
Yeah,
my mobs are. I would have accepted that fight, but at the same time, if I see what they just did to Shav, I'm not even gonna risk it. I'm gonna just do it.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if you are the best, I mean, you should have no problem beating whoever they throw in front of you. But at the end of the day, but at the same time, it comes to a point where it's like, well, damn. It's like, bro, I'm 18-0. I'm fighting in the ranks. I have a win. I have a win over Diego. Which, if we don't talk about it, but that fight we watched a few or a month ago now, the Diego and Volk,
Mm,
that should have been Movsar and Volk. But
for the
we
vote.
don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But whatever. We already skipped Movsar. Somehow Diego got an opportunity to fight number 3
Mm.
Ortega when
Off of
Movsar already beat him
who did
already.
I love Diego. Who did Diego? Diego's last fight wasn't the E-Gate fight on short notice, was it? Was that the last
He
fight before the title
before
before Vault? So
wait,
he got
no, he fought Ige because he was supposed to fight Brian. Remember, he pulled out the same day,
mm.
and then Brian, and then he fought Brian, and then fought Volk.
Oh, he did fight Brian Ortega. You're right.
But I'm saying, like, he got a chance to fight a number 3 rank before Mobsar when he lost to Mobsar. It's just, and yeah, and like you said, we're at the point where, like, I'm literally seeing conversations about Jean Silva. Like, it's just, it's insane. And like you said, if they're going the route of fun fight, I mean, there's no really fun fight to make. Yeah, we can. I mean, Yair just won a fight, so yeah. I mean, we can do that again. But for one, we've seen that already. We saw how that goes already. And two, like you said, Yair is just flat out not deserving. At some point, you just have to take. You have to. You have to take the. I guess the other stuff out of it, the entertainment, the. You
I
have to,
think
and just.
I think there's a common denominator between this and the John segment we had, and I just keep highlighting it. For the ones that stuck through it all the way here, I think the fine line is that the UFC has a real matchmaking problem, and not just that, a huge discipline matchmaking problem, because there is no fine line of who's next. There's nothing to tell you if you're truly the number one contender or not. We've seen number one contenders not get title shots for a while. We've seen people that's been undefeated. No, shit. You saw how many impressive wins Bilal has a get before he even got his shot. But there's no versus Ilya who just knocked out Josh Emmett, got a title fight, defended his title once, and now he got a double champ fight.
Yeah.
And we don't know what. There's no common denominator that tells me that makes me know that I'm next or I'm truly above somebody outside of how much people know my name and everyone talks about me, and if my last fight ended in a KO, a submission, or blood. That's really what it comes to. And I don't
Yeah.
know. I think when that is like your grading scale or system of who's next, I really feel like you're really discrediting some methods of fighting. Like
Nah, fact.
inherently you're basically saying that if you are a wrestler of any sort or you practice Muay Thai, not Muay Thai, but Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. Like you said, that's basically what you're perpetuating. Like you said, if to guys who are grappling heavy specifically, basically if you're not just getting quick finishes or like you said, we're seeing blood or you just literally or you got a big following making a name for yourself, it puts you. I mean, look at a guy like Marab. I mean, EGF cut out. Look at how long it took a grappling heavy guy like Marab to get a title shot. He should have been got a title shot. I remember they booked Cheeto instead of um Marab. I remember that kind of threw me off. Or look at how look at how undeserving ass Colby Covington constantly gets opportunities after opportunity after opportunity because he knows how to talk shit and he knows how to draw numbers with crazy controversial statements. Or look at I don't know, you could just go down the list. Like you said, Bilal, look at him. Look how long it took him for him to get his shot outside. You can even do Khabib. If no, we don't talk about it, but Khabib, man, Khabib had to people were ducking and diving. Khabib had to he got his title shot fairly late. He could have been defending his belt. Like I don't know. It's just when it comes to these guys, these grapple heavy guys, like you said, and Khabib, and he was smashing people, and he still couldn't get a belt. But that following, not having an actual brand, that marketability, and I'm sure, like you said, we'll touch on this soon. But They have a problem with like building certain guys up, and it needs to be fixed. I mean, because at the end of the day, it shouldn't be on the fighter. I mean, yeah, the fighter should simply want to build their own brand and, just for themselves and have a nice following because it's nice to have and it brings benefits like money, different opportunities. It brings benefits. That goes for it. That speaks for itself. But at the end of the day, you're a promoter. It's the promoter. I was basically just carrying off what you were just saying. Basically, I was just talking about like when you look at these grapple heavy guys, we don't talk about it, but Khabib was ducked and dodged, and it took him forever to get his title shot. You look at Marab, like you said, Bilal. I was just saying that. And another thing I was getting ready to say, you got me? Are you here?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay, we gonna see.
There, I see. There we
yeah,
go.
another thing I was getting ready to say, what was I getting? Oh, at the end of the day, like I was saying, fighters should want that marketability and should want to build a brand and speak for themselves and things like that because it brings more money, it brings more opportunities. It's just a good thing. But at the end of the day, if you have because we saw the same problem and we see the same problem with a guy like Shavkat, if you have guys who are undefeated and they're winning fights, dude, you are a promoter. Like at the end of the day, that is your job to build them up and make sure people know who this guy is. Like, cause I couldn't, when I think of a guy like Shavkat, I couldn't stand the fact that he wasn't known. How don't you promote that? How don't you sell that? A guy who was 19-0 with 18 finishes. He was 18-0 at the time, 18 finishes. How isn't that marketable? Part of me feels like, and I don't want to overstep, but part of me feels like it's just but part of me feel like some of it is just being lazy from these promoters. And Dana White, I'm calling you. You step your game up. You have guys who are undefeated in these regions who I understand it could be harder, like you said, with the language barriers and things like that. But for me, it is no excuse why people don't know who Shavkat Rakhmonov is. As a 19-0 guy with 18 finishes, he fights fun. He's exciting.
Do you feel like
finishes guys.
Do you feel like it's the fighter's responsibility too?
I do. But at the end of the day, they're fighters. They're getting paid to fight and win fights. And if I'm doing that, I feel like some marketability should be able to come. Especially if I'm doing it at a rate where I'm 18-0, it comes to a point where it's like, well, damn, why? It's like you say this guy's marketable. You say nobody knows this guy, but damn, why don't we know this guy? Promoter Dana White, you should be working a little bit harder instead of feeding into these cash cows, these Sean O'Malley's, these appeasing the Ilya, appeasing all these cash cows. Why don't you balance it out? And I'm calling on Dana White and like I said, the higher ups to put more effort into selling these guys. Cause like I said, there's no way a guy shouldn't even know who Movsar is. He's a good fighter. He's talented. He doesn't get decisions, but he fights really well. He's 18-0. Why don't you say these guys? He didn't say that, but obviously we're assuming this.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the only reason he's not marketable yet. Why isn't he? A lot of that should be on them or on him as a promoter. And I don't think it's crazy to say that. Like, I don't know. It's just.
But do you think it's easier to market somebody that actually gets finishes versus somebody that like Movsar doesn't?
It definitely is. But at the same time, like I said, and I feel like I'm kind of going back.
You think it just gets to a point where something has to outweigh just money and marketability?
Yeah, that, and it gets to a point where, I understand it's harder with language barriers. I understand it's harder if a guy has a bit more of a born style. But again, you are a promoter. Your job is to promote. I'm supposed to somehow. I understand it could be barriers, but I'm calling on Dana White to put a little bit more effort in selling these guys and building these guys instead of just holding them, instead of just playing the long game with them and just waiting to see when they lose, because that's really what it is. They play the long game. I'm not gonna say hope they lose, but it seems like they play the long game and just see if they lose instead of so they could be like, okay, well now I don't have to build him up. Well now he's not gonna be fighting for a title. Now I don't have to do that. Instead of just playing the long game.
So you think they're just trying to wait it out until they can job out Movsar?
I don't want to say that exactly, but sometimes that's how it feels. Because what else? What it's like
So
they're
they're
waiting.
trying to. Hey, they try. Well, we did say that when we first saw it the first time. It was announced before Movsar rejected it. They trying to job on Movsar for Pika.
And you never know, bro. All I'm saying is, I just think there should be more fallback. We should
It
there
could
should be
be.
more criticism. There should be more criticism on the promoters of specific. I don't want to keep throwing it on everything on Dana White because I understand it could be hard, especially when you got a guy who's a little bit boring and has a boring style, like you said, doesn't really speak English and all that. But at the same time, man, it's your job. You're a promoter.
Yeah,
This is your job to build up. This is your job to make fighters marketable. This is your job to make events marketable. It's your job. So like I said, I want to call on Dana White to like kind of,
that's
put more
fair.
effort into these
That's
guys.
fair. I think the promoters do they take a good deal of it. I just think that I don't know. I think it's messed up in this situation with Movsar because they literally just gave it to anybody. 'Cause there's nobody to give it to but him.
Yeah.
Nobody. Real is real. This should be Movsar division. Him and Diego Lopez and Jean Silva. They should all be fighting for that future of the division spot, and they just said, forget that. Let's just run year back. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess, bro.
Maybe
I
they give
guess.
Gene Aljamain Sterling or something. That could be a decent, or maybe Diego. Everybody saying I see the rumors of Diego. That'd be amazing. That'd be a fun fight.
Diego versus who? Jean?
Gene. I think it's a lot of things you could do with Gene. You could give him. I mean, just for the fact that he's 11, there's so many guys above him. I mean, you give
I'll
him Arnold
say,
Allen.
I'll say it might be time to give him Josh Emmett, bro.